At this time, I'd like to introduce the 10th men's basketball coach in USI history. Familiar face, someone who has quite a bit of history with USI, Stan Gouard.
Just for the announcement today, very excited about the opportunity. This is a little different the way we handle this press conference due to what's going on in our world, but we'll get through this. Really excited about this opportunity. First of all, before I do get started, a few thank yous here. Dr. Rashawn and John Mark and the entire search committee. Thank you guys for, the way we handled this entire process. I know there was a lot of candidates you guys had who were, looking for this next opportunity here at USI. And I'm really blessed and fortunate to be named the 10th head coach. That number rings a bell because my daughter's 10 years old, and we're excited about the opportunity. I can't thank the people at UND enough, Dr. Manuel, Dr. Willie, Scott Young, to name a few, for their professionalism throughout this whole process. We've talked back and forth for a couple of days, and they understand my love for USI and fully support my decision. It's been 12 years since my arrival at UND, and it's been 12 of the best years of my life, and I'm really excited, as well as my wife. We're excited about the next chapter. A lot of former student athletes are reaching out already. I'm sure it's already hit social media. We had our team meetings today on both sides, and I'm really grateful for the guys that have played for me over the past years, but the guys who I'm going to be coaching here and pretty soon. I'm really excited about these guys as well. As you guys are well aware, I'm a USI alum as well as my wife, and USI holds a special place to both of our hearts. We went there in '96, of course, national championship team in '95, and from the outside looking in over the years, I've always dreamed of coming back to USI. Special thank you to my mentors, of course, Coach Curtis, Bruce Pearl, Tom Ashman, Gene Gorley. Those guys have been in my corner since day one. And those guys are the reason why I'm coaching, because I look at those guys over the years, and I just enjoyed being around those guys when I was a student athlete, and enjoyed, how those guys just handled day-to-day operations. And that really made me want to be a coach. My entire team, I'm sure they're watching, from the 1995 championship team. It's an exciting day. And now you guys know the news. They've been texting me all day, wanting to know what's going on. And I just texted those guys as I was coming on here, because I wanted these guys to share the excitement with me as well. But my wife, Chastity, my daughter, Kennedy, and our dog, Callie, we're excited to be coming back home to USI. Questions?
Let's go to Hendricks with the Courier Press.
Hey, Stan. First off, obviously, congratulations on the job. Obviously being an alum here and being a member of that 95 team, coming back now to be a head coach, do you feel like there's almost a little bit of extra pressure at this position?
Absolutely. Anytime you get a chance to go back where you once played at, there's pressure. And that's something my wife and I, we talked about, and we understand it's college basketball. It's always pressure, but it's no different than the pressure I put on myself here at UND over the past 12 years. But it's going to be a different type of pressure because I'm sure, everybody who knows me from my playing days have very high expectations of me, and rightfully so. And I'm going to do everything I can on my end to exceed those expectations. I'm going to work hard. We're going to, get these guys playing at a high level of basketball. And it falls on me. And I think the hard work and everything falls on Coach Gouard's hands. And I'm really excited about the challenge of bringing a national championship back to USI.
We have a question from WFIE.
Okay.
From Bethany Miller. What is the, she said to ask, what's the allure of this job to come back to USI?
Well, it's a place I've always loved, and there's a great deal of love and respect for USI, not just the basketball program, but for the university, the Evansville community. There's a great deal of love there. I have so many so many great stories from my playing days at USI. And it's a no-brainer for us. When this job came available, my wife and I, we talked through it. Well, I wanted to make sure that I was ready for this job. We talked through it for a couple of days, and weighed the pros and cons, took the whiteboard out, went back and forth trying to decide if this is the right move for us. And each and every time I try to say, let's let everything stay the way it is, it circled back to me that USI is home for me. So again, I love USI. It's been that way for years. That's never changed since my playing days. It was tough, as the opposing coach sitting on the other side and watching these guys play, because it's a place I always envisioned myself of being back at. And the opportunity presented itself once again, and I wanted to make sure that I put myself in a position to have an opportunity to sit before you guys today to become the 10th head coach.
Okay, our next question will come from Jessica Wimsat at WEHT.
Hi, Coach. First of all, like Kendrick said, congratulations on the new position. We're happy to have you here.
Thank you.
And my question is just, you just talked about the allure of the job, but how much more meaningful is it to accept a head coaching job at a place where, you said you basically grew up here? How much more meaningful does it make it to take over a program that you know so well?
No, it means a lot. Just walking through that building on day one, once everything clears up, I'm sure it's going to be very emotional. In fact, when we played at USI, our last regular season game here with UIndy, my wife and I stuck around for an extra day. And we just kind of took it all in. We showed our daughter the campus, walked into the old Pack Arena, shot some baskets in there. And it just felt like a place where I wanted to return to. It was always one of those things where, like, if this opportunity ever presented itself again, I wanted to make sure that I was ready and willing to come in to do a great job that I think I can do there. So it was a no-brainer. Again, our love and infinity for USI, it was a no-brainer. And I'm just excited about, next steps in terms of getting down to campus once everything settles and rolling the sleeves up. I had a team meeting today with the guys, and we're excited. And I think these guys are excited about the change. With all due respect to what those guys have done in the past, I want to build on the success they had in the classroom on the basketball court prior to my arrival to campus.
Christian Rigg with 95.7 The Spin.
Hi, Coach. First of all, congratulations on the job.
Thank you, Christian.
And really, I'm going to kind of switch it over to a little bit more like the basketball aspect of it.
Okay.
How big is the familiarity with this team, having played them obviously over the last 12 years, kind of knowing some of the guys? How big is that going to play in going into the upcoming season?
Well, that's one thing prior to me accepting this position, I went back and reevaluated the roster. With technology now, we have this program called Synergy. So I was able to go on and look at guys in terms of from an individual standpoint and pinpoint some strengths and weaknesses. Over the past 12 years, especially this year to be exact, playing these guys 2 times, I know this roster like the back of my hand. I have some meetings scheduled with the guys here, some individual meetings coming up with each player via Zoom. And we're going to talk about things that make you better individually. And then we'll get into the team aspect later. But I have some ideas, for Emmanuel and Price and those guys. So we're going to talk through these things and try to make sure we, push these guys to the best of their ability. And it's going to be an enjoyable ride. I know these guys are excited about what's going on based on the phone call this morning via Zoom. And, again, watching these guys from a distance, I think there's so much more room for improvement.
All right, we'll take our next question from, it doesn't look like they're on right now. Let's go back through the order. Jessica, second time around, and also on the second time around, everybody, if you have a question for John Mark Hall, don't hesitate to ask John Mark about the hiring. Jessica, you're up next.
All right, well, I'll ask another one to Stan, and then if we have time, I will ask one for John Mark as well. Stan, what are you most excited about coming back to Evansville? Is there, an old restaurant that you've been having a hankering for, or just what is most exciting about this?
Well, I'm not for sure if it's coming into the new arena as the head coach. That's one thing. But one of my favorite places I used to go to back when I played there was Daryl's on Green River Road in Rafferty's. So those are two of the, and I think Daryl's is closed if my memory serves me correct. But I think Rafferty's is still around. So I'm going to go back to Rafferty's probably on day one. And my wife will kill me when I say this, but I'm going to have me one of those barbecue bacon cheeseburgers. I'll never forget those back in the day when we used to go over to Rafferty's and eat over there. So excited about that, but really more excited about, just stepping foot in the new arena and just taking it all in. It's going to be exciting. And again, I'm very excited about, returning back to Evansville.
All right. You had a question for John Mark, Jessica?
Yeah, I guess just John Mark, if you can kind of walk us through, Stan said it was an easy decision for him and his family. How easy was this decision for you guys, and why did you ultimately decide to make this decision the way that you did?
Sure. Well, as my mentor, Steve Newton, told me a long time ago, you always have to be ready if a coach in any sport, were to leave, retire, if you have to make a tough decision, who would be the few people that you would reach out to see if they had interest in the job? Who would you, target, so to speak? So, look, I think the nice thing about this job is, and, Stan alluded to a little bit, I'm sure we'll talk more over the days, but, it's in a really good place, right? It's got this great history, and it's in a really good place with the roster, the core values that Coach Watson and his staff brought on. So I knew that the outreach from other folks to us about the position would be significant. This is a good men's college basketball head coaching job. But yeah, I reached out to Stan very quickly to see if he had any interest in it. Once he told me he did, then obviously, we stayed in contact. I did that with some other folks too. I mean, again, in this business, you have to be aggressive and see who has interest, and then sit back for a day or two, even though that was difficult, to see who might call in to, that would have some interest. And again, it was, my phone has been ringing off the hook in a good way. But again, I think it's because this is a really good job, and again, it's in a really good place right now. So I'm giving you a long answer, but Stan's always been one of those guys. We've stayed connected. When he comes to the to USI, we talk a little bit. We've probably talked at other times, just throughout the years, just to stay in touch and stay connected. But obviously, he's one of the guys that we were really would hope to have interest. And once he said he had interest and wanted to to move forward with continuing the talks, and then we did that. So I'm super excited about it, and just really glad to have Stan on board.
Hey, John Mark, did you have any other statements that you wanted to make about the recruiting not the recruiting process, but the coach searching process?
Not really. Again, it was just, what was it? A couple weeks, I guess it has been. It was a pretty intense couple weeks. Again, look, Stan knows this, being in this business, there were a lot of people that reached out that were, qualified to do the job, right? And that's, from an AD's perspective, that's all you can ask for. And then all of a sudden you just have to make a decision, which person you think is the best fit, which person you think can take you where, you want to be. And again, timing's everything. And it felt like the right time to get Stan back here again. He visited with the team a little bit today. It's a good group of guys. Coach Watson and his staff did a good job with the locker room and the guys in that locker room. And again, just super excited about it. The process was intense, but good. And we're excited where we landed.
All right, we'll go back to the Courier and Press. Hendricks, your next question.
Yeah, it's for Stan. Obviously, I know it's very early, but if you kind of started to think about, who might be some of your assistants and who will kind of round out your staff with you here at USI?
Absolutely. Great question, Hendricks. We're going to, tomorrow, I'm going to sit down. I'm going to visit with the two assistants there on staff right currently, and, kind of gauge their interests and then go from there. And I have a couple guys in mind, of course, and like John Mark said, when you're coaching, you always have guys that you keep in mind just in case a situation like this occurs. So from here tonight, I'm going to think about some guys I already have in mind, as well as sit down. I keep saying sit down, Zoom with those guys on tomorrow, and just trying to gauge their interest and, pick their brain and see if, just see where they are from a coaching standpoint, mental standpoint, and we'll go from there. But I should hopefully have this done in the next week and a half or so.
All right, let's try Dan Agursky again here real quick, see if we can get his audio on.
Okay.
Looks like we may still have some audio issues. Are there anybody else that has questions for Coach or for John Mark? Everybody can chime in at any time on this. Okay, if hearing no more questions, if members of the media would like to call me, I can try and arrange phone interviews with Coach Gouard. Coach, what is you're currently in Indianapolis. When do you figure you might be back in Evansville if and when the university ever opens again?
I think John Mark and I need to have that discussion at some point. Again, right now we're in Avon, and I'm ready to go. I'm sure you guys will see here in the next couple hours of some guys who are going to look at recruiting, but I'm ready to get going. My wife is outside on the deck looking at houses already, so we are all in. We're all in. So it's just got to see how this thing plays out. But we're ready to get going here and really excited about next steps. So I think that's a conversation John Mark and I will have. I don't know how much I can do once I get to Evansville anyway at this point. I know here at Indy, we were locked out of the offices. We couldn't get in. So I'm not for sure if I can get in there or not. But I'll have a talk with John Mark at some point today, and we'll talk about next steps.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we will conclude today's press conference. I want to thank everybody for taking part in this out of the ordinary press conference, and we've had to have 2 of them in the last 3 weeks. So I appreciate everybody joining us. And like I said, if anybody has any further questions or needs to talk to Coach Gouard, Coach gave me his cell number, so I can now get a hold of him. So
always available.
We will start those interview processes one-on-one whenever you need them. So with that said, we will conclude today's press conference.
Thank you.